Alright, what's going on, you guys? From my shop getting some work done on a monster truck, and finally the body showed up. So right here's the body. I ordered this thing over 2.5 months ago. Took about 6 weeks to build. The rest of the time was shipping. It came from California. I'm in Connecticut, so that's quite a ways away. So right here's the door panel. Right there's the bedside. Other bedside. My 77 CJ5. It's a nice truck. It's a factory V8. Original rust-free Jeep. Right there's the roof panel. Right here's the hood. So this body is based off of a 2015 Chevy Silverado, but it's a Baja truck, a trophy truck. So right there you can see the headlights, the grille, the bow tie, all matches the 2015 Chevy Silverado. Right there's my 1959 Ford pickup. This is a cool truck. I did a video on this before. So it looks like a beat up old pickup, but I built a tube chassis for it. Right there you can see the King coilovers. Right here in the back, fuel cell. And this truck looks just like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 movie truck. So that's pretty cool. It's just, 44-inch tires. Right here is my 1979 Bronco. I shipped this thing here from California, so it's really clean because being in Connecticut, everything rusts around here because they put like salt on the roads. Just destroys all the cars. Right here is a fresh set of BKTs. You can see the wheels. Those were made by Pablo Huffaker, Racehorse, beadlocks. So here's the monster truck. I've been getting a lot of work done on this thing. I've been working like crazy on this thing lately. Let me show you what I got done. So taking a look back here, engine's in, transmission, and transfer case is in. And it took a lot of work to get this motor, training, and transfer case square in the chassis, because I had to make all the mounts for the motor. So this is a motor plate right here. Is like some mounts up here. I had to make those and measure them all up. And I spent hours and hours and hours looking at micrometer, feeler gauge, all that stuff, making sure this thing was perfectly square on the chassis. Because if you don't have this transmission and transfer case mounted square, you're going to get a driveline bind. And where it's going to bind is, I'll show you. Right here, this part right here is called a coupler. That couples the transmission to the transfer case. So if everything's not square, that's going to bind. It's not going to move freely. So when you mount that, you want like 1/8 of an inch of forward and back play, because things heat up and expand. And also if you get chassis flex, you don't want that to bind. So if you don't have this thing nice and square, that coupler's not going to move freely. But if you have a square, it's going to move nice and freely. So let's take a look, see if this thing slides forward and back pretty easily. Alright, look at that, that's perfect. See how this thing moves forward and back? If that didn't move like that, that would mean there's a bind somewhere and things are crooked. But because that moves really easy, that means that this drive chain is nice and square. Because right there's what's called a propeller shaft. And out back here, that spline shaft is where your rear drive shaft goes, and your front drive shaft hooks to that. And there's a guard that goes around this piece, which I have somewhere. Right there, some wheel tethers. Yeah, so this is the guard. This goes around that propeller shaft. So I still have to weld that in, make a couple brackets. But if you take a look, and you look right at the motor, you see the crankshaft and the output shaft for that propeller shaft. It's perfectly in line, and that's what you want. I know a couple guys who are in the trucks and they just kind of like throw things together and like, yeah, whatever, but that's not how I do things. If you can get it perfect, you may as well. So I'll show you what else I got done. I've been doing a lot of work on like the little things too. Like right there is the fire suppression system. You can see it's made by a company called Stroud Safety, and it's got a pull cable. And that cable goes down through the floor and up to this piece right here. Right there is a pull cable. So there's going to be the pull cable for the fire suppression system, a pull cable right here for the fuel pump, and then to the left of the fire suppression system, there's a battery shutoff that you push to shut off. Right down here, this is all like the ignition switch, all the fans and everything. I originally mounted it up here, but I decided to put it down here. And up here, I put a rear-facing camera. Right there you can see the camera. It's good to be able to see behind you, because when you're strapped into this truck, you're wearing what's called a Hans device. It's like a piece that goes between your helmet. It goes in your shoulder, so you can't break your neck when you're going off jumps. And also, that's a containment seat, and it's not on there now, but there's shoulder restraints and helmet restraints. So you can barely move when you're in there. So having a rear-facing camera really helps a lot. Right there you can see the transfer case. And it's open right now. I got a couple gears out just because I had to mount all this thing. It made it a lot easier to take the gears out. It made it a lot lighter. But right here is the front cover. Here's one of the gears, and here's the other two gears. So these are what's called quick change. So all you have to do if you want to change ratios, just change these gears. You pop this cover off, they slide off really easily. Right now I always just set them up 1-to-1 and then play around with different ratios as it go. So that's about it for now. Let me climb up in this thing. So this is where you get in the truck, kind of climb through the bottom. So I've just been doing some electrical work. I've been getting all the gauges mounted up, wired up. Right there's that rear-facing camera and the fire system and the ignition switch I showed you. There's the gauges, seat, oil accumulator, shifters all hooked up. Right there's the pedals. It's a TH Marine, which is a boat pedal, hot foot. It's got a tow hook in case your return spring fails. You can pull back on the tow hook. Right there, if you take a look, I made a riser bracket. That's to put it at the proper angle. For me anyway, because these trucks, you want to set them up where they fit you perfectly. So I made the pedal riser for that. Right there's the brake pedal. I'm going to be making a bigger piece right here to mount to this, just so it's bigger and there's less chance of like your foot slipping off. Right here, this is just a dummy pedal to like rest your foot on and also brace when you go over jumps and everything. But also, like, you don't want to hold your foot over the brake pedal because you can accidentally hit the brakes. And these things use pinion brakes, so they're very sensitive because they have the gear reduction working for them. So having a brace pedal right here definitely helps a lot. So that's about it for now. I got a bunch more work done. I want to do some wrenching videos on this thing and show you like as I'm working on it, but problem is I do this all by myself, so it's kind of hard to film and work on it, especially when I'm doing things like this motor and transmission. Transfer case, getting it square, requires like a lot of attention. So now that I got all that stuff done, eventually I'll get some more wrenching videos. One cool thing I want to show you that I got was not really a truck, but it's more of like a tool. So for years, when I put engines in, I use an engine hoist. But I recently picked up this thing right here. So this thing's pretty cool. It's just an electric chain hoist, and it lifts 2 tons. It's got an up and a down, and then you just push that in. So once you push this in, if you push the button, it does nothing. So that's pretty cool. I spent years using an engine hoist and wrestling around with motors. Having that thing's awesome. I wish I got that thing years ago. And it wasn't too expensive. It was like $1,000. But you know, if you're doing a lot of engines and lifting a lot of heavy stuff, definitely worth it. Like lifting these planetaries off the bed of my truck, having that hoist would have been awesome. So anyway, that's it for now. Take care. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. I'll have more videos coming soon. And I'll see you next time.